Hey, everybody, welcome to another Bourbon and Blockchain happy hour. We're really excited tonight. Tonight, we're talking with Cyril with OnlyBurns, and I'm really excited to talk about his project and what they're going to be doing. But before I get too much into that, I'd like to talk to my co host for a second. Mr. Maverick, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm great. I'm great. It's been a long day. It's been a long few days. There's a lot of work that goes into kicking this thing off. You know more than anyone, Draco, what it takes to kick something like this off. But it's we're pretty pleased with the path we're on right now, and just real blessed to have the community that we have come across. Right.
Yeah, having a real strong team and a strong community is actually making it, much easier and much more fun to do. So,
That's
thanks
right.
to everybody from our own group that's going to be joining and listening, and we're really, appreciative of having such strong supporters. And then, Cyril, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great, man. So we've been starting to do this recently, Maverick and myself. We started doing some of our interviews and our happy hours by asking some questions that not a lot of people would ask, right? Just to
Yeah.
kind of kick it off differently. So I will ask you this. When it comes to Thanksgiving, are you a turkey guy or a ham guy?
Turkey all the way because
All right.
well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Only if my wife is the one cooking it. And the reason why I say that, and I know a lot of people think their wife is a great cook. However, mine, when she cooks a turkey, you can grab it by the breastbone, shake it, and all the meat just falls off.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You
So
don't even have to slice it or
no,
anything.
you can literally cut it with a spoon. It's like perfect.
Yeah, I
What
have
about
to
you,
agree.
Maverick?
I have to agree with you. I'm a turkey guy through and through, and we didn't have one this Thanksgiving. But how many of you have had the turduckins?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a down in Texas. There's a few places out there that make these Cajun inspired turduckins. It's incredible. It's a turkey stuffed with duck. Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't think it, but it's incredible. It's heavenly. You throw some Cajun spices on it, it's like, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that sounds really good. This year, I've been doing smoked turkey, and every year I keep going back to it because I love the flavor of it. And I've been doing smoked turkey breasts, so it makes it a little bit easier to estimate how much you'll have left over too. And then we do smoked turkey noodle soup with the leftovers.
That
Oh,
actually
guys,
sounds
you guys are
good.
missing out. You don't even it's just like chicken noodle soup, but you're using smoked turkey. I'm telling you guys, you're missing out.
I'll take your word on it. Send some
Oh,
photos.
all right,
Post
all
them
right.
in general chat.
All right, I will. So with that being said, we'll get back on the topic with crypto. So you guys have an interesting concept. So we were actually initially introduced to your concept. Actually, Maverick was doing the interviews. So you guys were actually part of like a round robin, and that's kind of where we started to hear a little bit about your project. So if you don't mind, can you actually tell us about your project a little bit and what you guys are accomplishing and what you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not gonna, in order to fully explain everything that we're doing, because we're doing quite a bunch. It would take like 40 minutes. So obviously we're not gonna do that. But if you want to know more, be sure to join our Discord, and check us out. But essentially, what Only Burns is doing is we're bringing the curve wars to burning, and we have a governance token that is actually going into whitelist pre-sale tomorrow evening, and then public pre-sale the day after, called OBurn, standing for Only Burns, of course. And the goal of it is there's a buy tax, and it's actually collected in USDC, not our native token, right? That way we're not having to sell the token in big contract sells, in order to get that USDC. But we take all the funds collected by the buy tax, and we pre-seed $2,000, and then we take all the funds that are collected from that and we add it to that over the course of a month. And users from different communities and different projects can actually burn some of their O burn to vote for their project. And we have a burn board, a leaderboard, where you're able to see which projects are in, top, second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. And then we wind up at the end of the month, we take all those funds collected and we actually utilize them to buy back and then burn the top 5 projects on that leaderboard. And that creates that price appreciation. It also helps deflate their supply. And we can do this not only with tokens, but we can also do it with NFTs.
Wow. Yeah, that's an interesting concept. Being able to do it with tokens and NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
So specifically, so how would that work? Could you run us through like a mock scenario? Let's say that you're launched and you have users that have tokens. Is there like a voting system, or how does that work?
There is. So we have well, it's not live at the moment because you can't use it at the moment. We're going into pre-sale, but we'll be having this a vote DApp where you go in there, you select the chain that the project is on, you paste the smart contract, you assign however much burn you want to burn to back your vote. And then when you hit submit, it sends that information over and it tallies it up and basically adds your vote to the vote on the burn board.
So it's like an organic way of pumping a project through a different project. I mean, not pumping, that's a hard, but you know what I mean. It adds value organically through, not through the creator of whatever protocol's doing, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like if you had a big community over in the OnlyBurns community and they had a bunch of OBurn to use, then they could essentially increase the value of their holdings in another project.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because I see so many projects that either are rebase projects that have a little overinflated their supply, or with projects that maybe have too much in circulation that they want to see get taken out. And the protocols themselves, they don't either have the funds to deploy to buy back their own token and then burn it. What you see, a lot of the burns that they do are generally over the counter burns, right? Tokens that were already sitting in their wallet, and that doesn't affect the price. It doesn't make any difference for the holders themselves. So this is a way for communities to essentially decide, we want to have a burn, and we see that there's all this money sitting there. Like just so the average volume on a mid-range crypto project is around 500,000 a month, right? And then if you took, let's say you got the number 1 spot, maybe your whole community probably spent maybe about $3,000 collectively to make that happen and get that number 1 spot. You would actually receive a $27,000 buyback and burn based on the math. Which,
Wow.
yeah, that's fairly significant. So, and that's where the benefit comes into play, right? You're, as a whole, you're not spending $27,000 to buy back your project's tokens and then burn it. What we're offering is essentially the curve wars of burning as a service, right?
No, I like it. One of the questions that I would have is, so like when you have this tokens go for sale, is there like an initial token value, or like how does that work?
Yeah. So you're talking about the pre-sale for OnlyBurns?
Correct.
Yeah. So the public pre-sale is it's done in USDC, and it's point, and then there's 5 zeros, 4, and that per token, right? And we start off with a fairly high supply because we're a hyper deflationary token, right? And in order for people to be able to capture some of that governance and protocols to come in and buy some of that governance if they want to grab it early on, because we are hyper deflationary, your piece of the pie grows larger as our supply shrinks. And that puts you in the unique position where you have more governance than, maybe projects coming along later, et cetera. But there are ways that you can actually increase the governance that you have via our NFTs. We have some very low supply NFTs coming out. Like there's 3 tiers. Tier 1, it boosts your governance by 25%. So every burn you're burning counts as 1.25. Tier 2 boosts your governance by 50%. There's only 500 of those NFTs. And then tier 3 doubles your governance, but there's only 250 of those NFTs. But we are creating a rent marketplace so that, let's say you have a tier 3 NFT, but you're not planning on voting this month. You can actually be renting out your NFTs to other projects or other people who may not own a tier 3 because there are so few of them, but want to be able to boost their governance vote.
Mm. Yeah. So what I know you've been active in the communities, right? You and I, we actually came across each other, I believe, during the MDB. I don't know what they referred to it as, the Mega AMA, right? Where
Oh
we
yeah.
all, I think that's where we met, and we listened to your pitch too, and we thought it was unique and interesting. It's something we've never seen before. What communities have you seen enter the OnlyBurns Discord, and do you see any like emerging projects where people are already looking to capitalize on it as an entire project group, like of investors?
We have actually. So a lot of our members come from a couple of different projects. Sphere Finance over on Polygon. We have some members from MDB. We have we actually gave an AMA an Otter Clam on Polygon. I don't know if you're familiar with them,
No.
but they've got a really cool project. But when we gave the AMA, one of their team members actually reached out to me and said, "I want to join your team." And so that's how we wound up with an additional developer, Abtheo. But them as an actual protocol, they want to actually buy a tier 3 NFT and then set it up so that their community buys Oburn, sends it to the wallet, the project wallet that has that tier 3 NFT, so that then they can burn it as a chunk, right? And double the voting weight of their entire community in one shot. So it's really interesting the way that other protocols are already thinking about how they can utilize and benefit from our ecosystem.
Yeah, that's I think what I was just trying to start to think about was, we've talked about this before, but our project will eventually have a buyback and burn protocol built into it as well. But it would be interesting because that would be based off of community votes and several other things. But if there was a separate protocol that we're also working
Mhm.
with or that is operating in tandem with us, where individuals or groups or club members could actually go in there and provide their own kind of control mechanism, because we would not really be in control of that, right? And they'd be able to buy back and burn those NFTs. And I think that that's a pretty, strong, uh, you know, function that you guys would have in this market.
Especially in the bear market. But whew, can you
Yes.
imagine in the bull market? When money is flowing into the space again, and everyone's like, "Oh, let's go burn our supply," and
Mhm.
Yeah.
really pump the value of our bags.
Yeah, that was another question I wanted to ask you is like how long have you guys been sitting on this concept? Is it strategic in the fact that you feel now is the optimum time to launch something like this, or is this something like it's very fresh and new and you guys just want to capitalize on this idea before anybody else did?
Yeah, so I've been sitting on this idea for a little while now. We started putting it together, working out the logistics and planning out the full ecosystem, because again, there's a ton more to it, but I'm not gonna like go too
Yeah.
much into it. I've been planning this out for a while now, and we I wanted to actually launch near the bottom. Most projects they're like, oh, bear market, let's not launch right now.
Yep.
But I guess only us crazy few.
Right. We're the crazy people that are like, yeah, let's launch in the bear market.
Well, there's only one place to go when you're in the grips of the bear market, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
Unless it goes a little lower, but uh,
Yeah. Yeah, you can't time the bottom of this market, right? No, nobody ever does. So we all feel comfortable that we're nearing a bottom, right?
yeah,
Unless things just completely fall out. But we believe in the space, otherwise we wouldn't be here, right? Long term, we believe in the technology. We believe in the opportunities that are about to come. So I think this is the optimum time. You just have to be bold because things aren't going to go as planned. There's not as much liquidity, not as many, FTX. What else can I say? People lost a lot of money, right? So
yeah.
people are having to be a little bit more strategic, and we're having to get a little bit more creative. But that's okay because I think these types of projects will be much more fruitful by
Yeah, I
launching
agree.
this time
Investing in a
later.
bear market takes conviction.
It
and
does.
Yeah.
and not everybody's going to do it, but everybody's going to say they wish they did. That's what we're doing, right? And that's what you guys are doing. You're investing in your project. You're investing in the market. That's difficult to do. A lot of people say they'll do it, but I can tell you right now, a lot of people don't. Just like
They
a lot of people would say, "Oh, I would have sold Bitcoin when it was at 67,000." No, you wouldn't have. You did?
don't.
Nice.
Yeah, I bought my stack of Bitcoin when it was at cost average of around 4,600.
Nice.
You know, I watched the COVID crash happen. I actually little side segue. I started trading stocks about 13 years ago. Blue chip cryptos about 9 years ago. You know, so I'm very familiar with the patterns, the charts, everything like that. And so like I saw that crash coming. I was like, I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. Calculated the bottom to be about 4,800, dipped a little bit beneath that. So I just kept buying, buying, buying. And then when it broke out over 9,800 for Bitcoin back in June of 2021, I believe it was,
Hmm.
um, I knew that it was targeting a multiple with a high end target around 55K. So I started selling aggressively at the 55K region, kind of DCA'd my way out. And yeah, so I'm fine.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are speculating on the bottom of this market. Not to get too crazy off the topic, but Bitcoin's obviously what people are paying attention to. It's easy. Like if you want to follow the whole market, if you kind of watch Bitcoin, it kind of gives you some telltale signs of what's kind of going on in the overall market. So, what do you think? Where do you think we're headed, or time wise, what do you think? I know that's a tough one, right? Because I think that we're getting close to some sort of capitulation, right? Right now we're even having reactions in the market that are built off of almost no volume, which is not good, right? We're just having like reactionary blips that are going up and then down, up and then down. But overall, we're forming a bear flag, and that bear flag is consistent with some of the other bear flags that we've had over the past few months, right? So if we keep doing bear flag down, bear flag down, bear flag down, eventually it's going to crash down. And that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, so here's the kicker is we actually had our bottom. We did. And then it was the calculated bottom and everything. It was when it bounced off of like the
17.5.
17.4, yeah,
Yeah.
17.4, 17.5 region. That was supposed to be our bottom. And then we started having some rather significant issues a la FTX, and that just yoinked the rug out from underneath that bottom. And it was very reactionary. Yes, a lot of people lost money, but I do think that the market is overreacting to it right now. And we see that the Feds are looking at slowing down those rate increases, which is going to have a very positive effect on the markets. When they stop increasing the rate limits so much, that's going to help lift the markets back up. So I'm thinking we're probably going to see a couple more little drops here and there. Maybe a brief flash crash as that mass capitulation happens. Who knows? We could have another exchange fold tomorrow, and then just all bets are out the window.
Right.
But
Like BlockFi.
right. The Genesis lending platform, BlockFi. Just
Rumors of Nexos. It's just not good.
No, it's not. But what can you do? So I'm thinking that we're probably going to go a little bit further down. There's got to be a little more bleeding, and then we're going to go sideways for a while. Maybe a couple little bull trap relief rallies that then pull back. But I'm thinking late next year we'll see it start actually recovering.
Yeah, all I know, because I don't know much, right? The charts have lied to me many and many a times, but
Hmm.
all I know is when you hear an abundance of people screaming for a number or a prediction, and they're all screaming the same thing, that's not going to be the bottom, right? They're going to be wrong. And right now I hear 12,000. I hear 12,000 is going to be the bottom. I can't wait for 12K. I'm going to buy up all I can. Yeah, right. You said that at 17K. You said that at 16K, and you're still not buying. So I truly believe that we're getting close, unless something else like FTX
Yeah.
happens. That's
Yeah.
the big unknown, right? You can read charts. You can be like Myron, the troll that's in our chat on YouTube right now, we talk about this quite often, and he says, "Hey, TA is wonderful. We agree, and we have a TA expert in our Discord named
When
I
it
Am Groot
works.
when it works." But there's other factors that play into this. There's news that completely pulls the rug out from under any TA savants, and it keeps them from, any type of success with a specific trade or direction. So, yeah, I'm with you. It sounds like we're kind of aligned with what our thoughts are. I think at the end of the day, though, we're confident that we're nearing kind of the bottom, right? The mass bleeding has happened, and we're really looking forward to that altering and changing here in the near future. But who knows? It could take some regulation to happen, which I hope not. But that's the type of thing that's could make or break it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it really is. And you know, I know we're definitely getting off topic, but I just wanted to say a lot of people are missing the fact that all of the sudden a whole bunch of different countries are now pilot testing their own central bank digital currencies.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not paying attention to that, you should be. And if you're not paying attention to what the BRICS nations are doing with their central bank digital currency and the fact that they just created a competitor for SWIFT for processing international transactions, you should be paying attention to that. That I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but if you're not paying attention to that, you should be. Yeah,
That's for another happy hour.
yeah, exactly.
That's a good topic.
That's one when we all have bourbon, we can talk about that one.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we've talked about with other projects and we've talked about with other interviews is what we're seeing, though, as a really positive sentiment about this market are the projects that are coming out of this market, what's being developed. There's a ton of really, really good projects. And I think, we've seen a lot of bad garbage, some junk. And out of that junk, a lot of good things are starting to rise out of it because I think people are starting to see, okay, if they're pegging to a specific yield, like a return, how are they getting that? How can they promise that yield? We've seen this over and over again. I want to know where that yield's coming from. And what you'll end up finding is that people are now starting to actually do your own research, right?
Finally.
Yeah. So now people are saying, wait, yeah, where is that? Where's that money coming from? They can't find it in the documents. Nobody's answering their questions. And then they realize, wait a minute, I am the returns. I'm providing these returns to the people that got there before me, right? So I think that the new projects that are coming out and that are developing these projects are realizing that there's a higher standard now. And I think that's a great part of what has happened up to this point. And hopefully that helps make the ecosystem better because I think we can all agree that crypto needs to do better. And the people involved in crypto, the developers, they need to do better.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you said something that's interesting where a lot of people realize I'm the return, right? That's because a lot of DeFi projects are zero sum or negative sum, where someone has to lose money in order for someone else to make money. And that actually brings me to the final point that I actually wanted to make earlier about our ecosystem. So after our tokens out, our NFTs are out, the rental marketplace is out, we're offering the rental marketplace as a service to other projects, we're going to be launching something called Arson. And Arson, there's only 500,000 of them. It's a low supply token, and there will not be a pre-sale on it. It will just be a fair launch liquidity starting at $4 a token. And this token, we actually take our treasury that is invested across stable coin farming, exotic strategies on Uniswap v3, overnight finance's ETS hedge system so that it can continue growing even during a bear market, and a bunch of other investment aspects, which again are more detailed out in the Discord and the white paper and everything like that. And we take the profits that's generated from our treasury, and with 30% of those profits, we actually purchase Arson out of the liquidity pool. So it raises the price. And then we take 33% of the profits and we pair that Arson back into the liquidity pool. So we buy it, raise the price, and then add it back in to deepen liquidity. With the goal being that Arson is essentially a safe spot to park your money that even if you manage to buy a local top because some people who bought before you are selling, you can just wait. Our treasury will put the money in. Nobody has to actually lose money with that, because I wanted to combine the advantages of traditional stock portfolio investing and different like ETFs with DeFi. And so that's what Arson will be. And that's kind of be the flagship of our protocol. And the revenue from our rent marketplaces and everything like that feeds the treasury, in addition to the stable farming, which in turn feeds the price action of Arson. So
yeah, that's interesting. That's a lot. That's a lot to digest too, right? There's a lot of elements to this. That when I first heard you describe this during the MDB AMA, I honestly I was left a little confused. I did a little research after the fact. I'm actually in your guys' Discord. I was just curious, right? Wanted to learn more, and so it made a little sense after diving into some of the documentation and the stuff you guys have put together. So for anybody that's interested in learning more, where can they find that detail?
Yeah, so if you go to onlyburns.com, we have our white paper documentation there, which is on Gitbook. There's links to join our Discord. There's links to our Twitter. So it's real simple, onlyburns.com. You can get to everything else from there. If you have any questions or you want to know more, feel free to join our Discord and ask. Follow us on Twitter. Smash that like button and subscribe for the blockchain happy hour.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're talking a little bit about how not only the developers need to get better, but the community is getting better, right? And it's funny because we launched our website a few weeks ago, and we were really proud of it. It was great. So people are now investors, people in the cryptocurrency atmosphere, they're actually at the point where they're pointing out like spelling errors. They're like, hey, you got a spelling error on your website. And we're like, you know what? Thank you. Like, I appreciate that. It is what it is. Went on there and fixed it, right? But it's funny because people are paying way more attention than they were when they were buying, who knows, some junk. I'm not going to point out a specific project, but, like just buying junk, throwing money at the wall. And nowadays it's like, wait a minute, let me read all of this. Let me make sure. And I think that's a good thing. I think that literally makes the entire ecosystem better.
It does.
But well, that brings me to my next point, and I think it's almost as important, if not more important, is during Thanksgiving, do you have yams or sweet potatoes?
Neither. Mashed potatoes. I make mean mashed potatoes. You got to make them with red potatoes. If you make them with any other potato, you're making it wrong.
Oh, okay.
It's about the starch content. Your golds are for like soups and stews. Your russets are for like baked goods. And diced. You can use them for soups too. But reds are for mashed.
All right.
You know way more than I do about potatoes.
Yeah, so me too. I just look at it, smell it, eat it, and then I give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I'm like a caveman.
I take my potatoes seriously.
Apparently. So let's say, I guess another question would be, let's say you guys, everything's up off the ground, liquidity's there, everybody's there, things are going well. A year from now, when things are changing, the market's going up in an upward direction, like what type of projects do you see you guys like aiming to get involved with, or is it all going to be just coming from your own community, or are you going to try to make other partnerships?
Yeah, so we're continually reaching out to other protocols and other projects, especially once we have the rent marketplace out as a service, right? Because then other utility-based NFTs, if they want to allow their holders to rent out, their NFTs, they could onboard to that platform at no charge, because it's going to generate us revenue to have them there due to the rental fees, right? And then those protocols can actually earn a percentage of those rental fees. So it's really a win-win. And as far as our buyback and burn as a service, we're networking with other protocols. One of the things we're aiming to do prior to our launch is a promotional burn on some other projects. If we hit certain markers during our pre-sale, which, again, bear market, so maybe we will, maybe we won't, but that's okay either way. But yeah, just spreading the word organically is one of the best ways to do it, right?
It is.
Because you have community members in different projects. We all know at least 5 other people who are in projects that we're not invested in, right? And if we say, hey, guess what? The project that I'm in, we just want to buy back and burn from OnlyBurns. Maybe you should look at it too, and that's really great. And networking with those protocols and saying, hey, arson is a great place you could put your treasury to earn that growth aspect, or hey, why don't you take a look at our burn as a service, and because your supply is getting a little thick there with all your rebases, let's take it down a bit. But yeah, no, I actually have things on our roadmap that go out as far as, let's see, Project X, we're not even going to announce until 2024. Um, and then I have things planned for beyond that. We have mechanisms in place that are going to utilize the NFTs as a way to introduce additional governance to the system once our OBURN supply deflates pretty severely, because again, it is hyper deflationary. So at some point, we're going to need a way to get additional governance in, right? And I already have mechanisms planned for that. So we're looking forward to the future and working with a lot of different protocols.
Yeah, that's great. It's always good to know that the founders are thinking long term, not just in the immediate short term. So trust is one thing that's kind of foundational to Bourbon and blockchain. So how we've been pretty transparent with who we are. We come from many communities and are known in those communities. But as far as you and your developers or your partners in OnlyBurns, how did you guys come to know each other? I mean, can you give us some insight into maybe y'all's relationship and how it came about?
Yeah. So my right hand man is Sam, and he is also publicly doxxed. So for those who may not know, Cyril Kier is the name that I go by, and I have for like the last 18, 19 years. But my legal name is Joshua Hood. I'm a publicly doxxed individual, and I'm actually KYC'd with the Obsidian Council, and that's where I met Sam, because he is on the team over at the Obsidian Council. And he and I got along great. We've actually met in person, hung out, when we had our Northeastern crypto meetup that we try to do twice a year. And yeah, so we met that way, and then we brought on an additional developer, Abtheo, after doing the AMA over at OtterClam. And yeah, so that's kind of how we met. Is basically through other avenues and other communities.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's really important, is the transparency and all of that. And
Yeah.
it's been one of those things where being able to discuss those things with your groups, and being able to talk about where the liquidity is and where the funds are coming from and all of that, that's also part of the transparency. But one of the things that I like about your project is, I think what it's going to become, especially as you guys mature into the project and become fully developed, I think it's going to become a bridge between other projects, if that makes sense. Like, you're
Yeah.
going to be able to link projects together, and also become a place where you introduce projects to other people just based on being part of your protocol.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually have this thing in our Discord where you can type a question mark rank, and then you can type a project name, and it actually adds a role to you. So we can see kind of like the representatives. Sorry, it's been a long day.
Yeah,
From various projects, and see, wow, Sphere has a lot of people here. Oh, Apparently Finance has a lot of people here, and MDB has people here, So it's a great way, because we are essentially kind of like a melting pot, right? Burn your egos at the door. Here, we're all just one community. It doesn't matter
yeah.
what our main project is. We're all just one community who we all love a burn.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Yeah.
We getting to know you a little bit better. We believe in projects that aren't, get rich quick schemes. This is not one of those, right? This is something that has more staying power. It has something that can benefit communities outside of their own. I mean, that's really what it's centered around. So I just want to say thanks for coming on. Good luck to you guys moving forward, and who knows in the future, when we start introducing the burning mechanisms to our NFTs, perhaps, your protocol is one of those means for us to do so. We'd obviously have to explore it a little bit more, understand what it means. But I think we're excited to explore that, especially as you guys get kicked off. And yeah, wish you guys all the success, man.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys having us up here to, talk a little bit about OnlyBurns and, just hang out and have some fun conversation. It's always great to be able to do that in this space,
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, I look forward to working with you in the future, and in finding unique ways to bring our communities together. So thank you very much for coming on tonight, and it was a joy learning more about your project.
Yep, I encourage anybody listening in to go check out their Discord. I put a link to, I believe, your guys' Twitter directly in the description here within the video. So click on that, go check it out. I think it links them directly to your Discord. They can ask questions, get connected. Also, we're still minting, of course. We're going to continue minting in Bourbon-N-Blockchains. Yeah, so we're looking to start deploying funds within another week or two.
Nice.
We're going to be, so we will be introducing some opportunities to our NFT holders in the Discord to get their feedback. And then, we're going to chug forward with deploying the capital for the investors as it currently stands. So super excited to get it kicked off.
Yeah, I like the quality of your NFTs, right? I think I forget, was it Draco that I was chatting with about the fully 3D modeled NFTs and everything like that?
Yep. Yeah. We have an amazing artist. His name is August. He's from Brazil, and he's just a wizard. I don't know how else to say it. I've said it a million times. He's a wizard, and he can draft this stuff in front of us. Like you can tell him, I want you to make a cup with ice in it, and he can literally do it as you're talking, and just make things just come alive. And he did a really good job. We're really, really proud of the NFTs and the quality of them. So if anybody's interested in taking a look at them, you can go on our OpenSea page. We have an official OpenSea page, Bourbon-N-Blockchain, or you can go to our website at bnbsclub.com, and it will link you to everything from there.
Yep. So that pretty much wraps us up. If you have anything else left to tell the community, the floor is yours. But otherwise, we thank you for coming on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure. I mean, I think I'm pretty well set as far as that. There is one more opportunity. We are going to be giving away 5 whitelist spots to people who are attending, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
I can't see through here who's watching or whatnot, but let's just say the first 5 people to hop in our Discord and open a ticket saying, "Hey, I was listening to the Bourbon-N-Blockchain happy hour," we'll get a whitelist spot for our whitelist presale starting tomorrow.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll post something in our Discord too and lead people there if they're interested. So thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And
all right, gentlemen, have a good night.
Hey, you too. Thanks for joining us.
Take care.
Bye, guys.